Hey guys, welcome back out to the shop. Tonight we're going to do a simple little project, which is a Marlin spike. So I've got, I'll just show you what it is. Marlin spike, good for bushcraft, tying knots, undoing knots. You can get in and push the rope apart. You can use it to wrap around and pull, tighten knots, things like that. These are a good seller for me. Right now I've got them on my Etsy store. I've got an order for a few of them, so I'm just going to bang out a couple here tonight. I'm going to voice it over because the forge is loud, the hammering's loud. I'll try and leave a little bit in behind there just for ambiance. Fancy word of the night. Ambiance. And hope you enjoy the ride. Okay, here we are at the anvil. I'm using a 2.5 pound rounding hammer. So what I want to do here is I want to draw out a fairly graceful taper, a square taper down to about the size of a medium ballpoint pen. This is about 5 inches of 3/8 inch square bar, and then I'm going to just draw this taper back a little bit to about 3.5 inches, I guess, and keep it nice and tidy. This next heat here, I'm just going to kind of tidy it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to start knocking down the corners. Basically, we want to have this square octagon, and then on the next heat, we'll go to round. Now, a lot of guys can probably do this whole operation in one heat. It's fairly cold in my shop, and I think the problem is that I have too much contact with the anvil here, and that anvil just draws the heat right out of my piece. So I think if I was to try working this a little bit better, I would work more off of the anvil with the heat, and then instead of having the heat directly on the anvil. And you can see here that it really starts to suck the heat out of that piece. So now all I'm doing here is I'm just kind of going back and forth, just trying to knock my edges down and get a little bit rounder. I am going to cheat here in the next little bit, and I'm actually going to chuck this up in a drill and then run it on my grinder to make it nice and smooth and fairly round. These things don't have to be perfectly round. It's not like we're looking for a machinist kind of finish, but they need to be nice and smooth regardless. So just tidying it up here, and then we're going to move on to the next step. So here I am at my new 2x72 grinder. See, I got it chucked up in my drill here. I got to go fairly slow. The faster you go, everything gets out of round. So we want to go fairly slow and just grind that taper down to a nice smooth finish. Get rid of some of the hammer marks, get rid of some of the scale. And we're only doing that for about the 3 inches. So now I'm just going to move over to my little Princess Auto grinder. This has got a 320 belt on it, so it helps to make it a really nice smooth finish. And then just round that tip off. Use it on the slack belt because you can see it's a little bit wonky as far as round goes, but we're not too worried about that. It's not like we're trying to produce a lathe finish on this thing. So and there it is. The taper is done and ground. So now here we're going to back to the anvil. We've heated the square end again, and we're just going to do a set down here and try and draw that out just a tiny little bit. Set down will be down to about 1/8 of an inch, and it works out to being a little bit rounder on the ends, which is fine. You see I'm knocking down the sharp corners because we want to be sure that we don't leave any sharp edges. And then we'll center punch a quick little mark in there, and that'll be for the loop for the leather or paracord, depending on whatever the person wants. So the first little hit with the center punch is just to make sure I like where the mark is, and then I give it a deeper punch, and we'll run over to the vise and drill it. So you didn't need to see me drill the hole here. So now we've heated up that end again. You can see the hole that's been drilled. I'm going to mount it in here, And we're going to give it, I think this ends up being about a 3/4 turn. Maybe it's a half. Yeah, I guess it's a half a turn. And that's just the decorative twist just down from where the leather's going to be. Quick little wire brush just to get rid of some of the scale. And then, check it for straight. When you twist things, they sometimes get a little bit wonky. But this one's not too bad. I think I gotta put it back in the vise and just bend the top just a little bit just to straighten it out. Yeah, there you go. So just do that while it's still hot. And there's the twist and the hole. And now we're just basically moving on to the finish. So I cool these off and then I set them for a dunk in some muriatic acid for about 10 minutes. And the marvels of television, I already have one sitting in there. Rinse it off in some water in my slack tub and then run it over to my wire wheel, which I have affectionately named Chucky Throwy because it tends to grab and chuck and throw things across the shop. Not so much on this time, but clean it all up really nice, get all the scale off of it, make sure there's no sharp edges. So now we head back over to the vise. When these are done, before I put the leather on them, this is the step I'm doing now, I heat them back up to darken the one end and to coat them with beeswax. And then once that's cooled off, they have a nice corrosion kind of resistant finish on them. And here I fight with the leather for quite a while to try and get it tightened on there. I use recycled materials, so I cut these myself out of, sometimes some old stuff, so it takes a bit to get it straight. And there we are, a couple of new Marlin spikes, complete with leather strap, ready to be shipped off to the customer. All right, guys, there you go. Quick little project tonight. Couple of Marlin spikes. I'll get those sent off on Monday to my customer. Thanks for coming out. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if I don't know, I'll find somebody that does, and I will get you an answer. Wear the gear. Get it hot. Hit it hard. Make great things. Thanks for coming out.